Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm happy to be here. This is Cecilia, and welcome to the Totango Academy Live webinar on how to identify your advocates and champions and reward and leverage them. This is very important. I know we all love our customers, and sometimes it's tricky. So Totango is here to help you to identify your top users, your top accounts, and also see how to creatively reward them. So a little bit about me. Some of you know me since I'm your customer success manager. I've been with Totango for about 2.5 years, and I'm still really happy here, and I'm happy to work with you and spearhead the customer success industry. Just to let you know, some of you have already been in our webinar series, but wanted to make you aware that we do have another set of webinars that are scheduled, and there's going to be a few more that we're going to be still working on and presenting and announcing. But just to let you know, the next webinar on August 6th is going to cover some of our new releases, which I'll highlight a little bit today, but I want to make sure all of you register for those and share that with your team, because it's going to be a really, really awesome webinar on August 6th. So stay tuned and feel free to use the support.totango site to get registered and review the on-demand content that is already available. So for today, what we're going to do, we're going to talk about how to identify your most engaged customers and also most engaged users using Totango. We'll discuss some of the use cases for leveraging your top customers and your top champions within those customers, and then some of the ways you can potentially think about rewarding and thanking your customers. So to start, we thought about some of the most common use cases that can be at your fingertips and how you can potentially use Totango for. So one of them being marketing. Since your customers, the ones that are really engaged with your product, they can be ones that can spread the word and really educate the other potential prospects that you have, or maybe serve as references and be opportunities for case studies. That's one use case. Product. We at Totango leverage this quite a bit since we do release a lot of new features, and we do want our customers to participate and give us feedback. And thank you to the ones that have been on board with us with that. We do appreciate it a lot. So we do use you for beta. So beta customers are really powerful because they can help our product team refine the features. They can help our product team improve the feature set and provide feedback as we develop and roll the features out. So that's a really powerful use case as well. The third one down is customer success. So really it's about you as a customer success manager or customer success team developing a deeper relationship with your customer and your champion. Because sometimes that champion can be the one that can be your advocate within that organization and spread the word to other potential teams that can benefit from your product. And then the last one, I think is really key. It's really important to say thank you, even if it's not expected, something that will share the warm and fuzzies with your customer. I think everybody really appreciates the token of appreciation, just a thank you or something that you can send to your customer just to say that you appreciate their business. After all, there are humans on the other side, and technology is one aspect of it, but there are human beings out there that are working hard, and they have a lot on their plate, and it's nice to be able to provide that little token of appreciation to them. So how do we leverage, how do we actually take advantage of the use cases that we have defined? So for marketing specific use case, once you've identified your champion, you can use Totango to see if they're potentially not using key features of your product. You can also see their usage decline. And then you can potentially send them a nurturing campaign. So your nurturing campaign can be something that is automated through your marketing automation tool, like Marketo or Eloqua or Dot, whatever you have in-house. And we also are working on a campaigns functionality. So this is something that Totango will have independent of your marketing automation system, something that you would be able to leverage Totango for without having to rely on the marketing automation tool. And this is something further down the line we will announce and we'll share it with you, but just to keep in mind that this is a capability that we're currently working on. For customer success, so your champion users within your health accounts. So this is something that can be really powerful. So if you have a customer that's not doing so well, but you have a really, really strong relationship with someone inside the company, you have your champion that you've worked with really, really closely, and they're a supporter of your product, you can actually use them potentially and see how you can extend their passion about your product to other members of the team. So that's one way to potentially to work with your champion within a company that's not doing so well. And lastly, as I mentioned, the thank you. So some of the creative ways to reward users for their loyalty, or reward the company for a specific milestone that they achieved with your product. And some of the things that we have heard our customers do, if the customer achieves a specific milestone, maybe they onboarded quickly, you maybe send them cookies or a T-shirt or a hat, whatever it may be, but something small, and I think it really goes a long way. It also creates some excitement in the organization when they see someone getting a shirt or a mug even, and everybody wants one of those. So it's a really nice way to increase adoption and excitement about your product. So something I said I will mention briefly, this is something that's new. So most of you that are using Totango on a daily basis should have noticed the new awesome account scorecard, which is an account profile. And this is going to be covered in greater depth at our webinar on August 6th, along with Success Place. But I did want to highlight this a little bit because there are places here within the account scorecard that can be leveraged for identifying your top customers and your top users within the customer, specifically midway into the page under the user leaderboard and usage leaderboard section. But some of the highlights about the scorecard, it's much more customizable. There's things that you can do here that you couldn't have done before. You can reposition the specific data points the way you would want to visualize them on the screen, and you can also bring out any relevant data points that are critical to your business and define your scorecard to meet your specific organization's needs. If you have any questions on this and how to use it, please reach out to your customer success manager. And again, we will have a webinar that goes into more depth on this on our next webinar on August 6th. So just kind of to cover that a little bit deeper, so how to identify champions. So the part on the left side under user leaderboard, this is the section of the account scorecard account profile that is available to you for every account that you have. So when you click into the specific account, in that section, you will automatically see who are your top users. And they're going to be ranked in order of, obviously popularity. So in this particular case, Andres de Rojas, he has been active 8 out of 14 days. And also Peter, they're kind of on the same page along with Lisa. So 8 days out of 14, and then everybody else follows them. So if you were going to see who would be your top candidate for potentially asking for feedback or inviting to a beta program or a case study, you would probably want to look at Andres, Peter, and Lisa and try to engage them and reach out to them for that particular purpose. Another way to identify your top champions would be using the account section and building an active list on the user level. You can also do this on the account level, and I'll show you this in a demo in a little bit. But basically, you will define your criteria for what your champion should look like, and then you can potentially tag that champion. And the reason for tagging would be you can easily identify them if you look at them, and you can also use the tags for your marketing automation tool. So when you do leverage, let's say, Marketo, once the tag is applied, you can launch a specific campaign and message to your champion something very specific, maybe announcing a webinar or maybe inviting them to a specific advocacy group. Whatever your particular goals are, you can actually automate your communication to them by using the specific tags. So a quick preview as well of something that is really new, our Success Place capability. This is something I'll show you in a demo as well, and this will be also demoed in detail on August 6th. And if you do have specific questions about this capability, please reach out to your Customer Success Manager. This is part of our Pro Plus premium package. If you're interested in it, we would be happy to tour you within this particular capability and discuss how to enable it and have you take advantage of it. But what we thought about would be a neat way to leverage Success Place in a more automated fashion to understand who are your referenceable accounts and do something with them. So the Success Play would be basically defining the criteria for a referenceable customer. And what I have done, and I'll show you this in a demo as well, on the left side, if you can see in the preview segment, there are 9 accounts. And the criteria that was selected is accounts that are paying, that are in good health, and their active user strength is 50%. And this is the customer metric that we have internally, but basically meaning that out of our active customers, active users, at least 50% of them are regularly using the product. And so those would be those types of accounts would be referenceable candidates for us. And once we identify them, the specific process that is defined, and this is a little bit to the right of the screen, if you can take a look at what the task is defining, it's specifically to reach out to a customer and request to serve as an ongoing reference, a case study candidate. So what would happen once we have a customer that meets the criteria that we have set up, a CSM will get a task assigned to them to reach out to the particular customer and see if they would be open and willing to serve as an ongoing reference and potentially be a case study candidate. So this is a nice way to automate this type of process and have your team execute on that process based on new accounts, candidates that come across. And you set it up once and you don't have to worry about it again. So it's something that can be automatically configured and set up and running without you needing to do anything, and that's really a nice way to potentially leverage Success Place. That's one example that I thought would be applicable to this particular webinar, but there are also very many ways to leverage Success Place, and this will be covered again in detail on August 6th. Another place where you can potentially measure how you're doing is in the reporting section. So one thing that we came up with is tracking your referenceable accounts. So obviously the goal is to have as many accounts that can serve as a reference as possible, and it would be great to have tracking for that. So once we identify a referenceable customer, we can have a running list, an active list that I can show you. You can also apply manual tags to them. And then you can track it in a report. So right now in my view, I have 23 referenceable customers, and I can see how that runs over the whole year. And I can also see the breakdown by the success manager, by sales manager, by contract renewal date, and by contract value. And these breakdowns can actually be customized, but it would be nice to see, out of my referenceable customers, who has the most referenceable customers at our disposal, who is the sales manager that brings in the most referenceable types of customers, and renewal dates and contract value. This is something that can be leveraged and actually tracked and shared with your team, and maybe you can build some competition around it or incentivize your team to bring in more referenceable customers, and that could be potentially something that is measured and is counted towards their MBOs. So with that, I'm going to jump out of the presentation and get into our demo. Again, if you guys have any questions as we go through this, please feel free to type them into the chat box, and we will address them at the end of the webinar. All right, so I'm inside a demo environment right now, so I'm in the home screen. And the areas specifically that are going to be covered today in this webinar for this use case are going to be in the accounts section. I'm going to touch a little bit in the report and also in the Success Place. As I mentioned, this is part of our Pro Plus premium feature. If you're interested, reach out to your Customer Success Manager and they will be happy to discuss it with you in greater detail. So if I go to the accounts, this is where I can build a specific criteria for my champions. And so what I can do is I can create either an account level list or a user level list. And so what I've done, I've already created a champion list on the user level. And so when I load that, basically what you will see is my criteria for the particular champion list. Okay, so what I have done here, for me, it was important to make sure that my champion users are active in the product at least 10 days in the last 14 days. They're also a paying customer. I also gave myself a little description here, and I would encourage you, part of best practices would be to document what you're actually defining, and then also maybe some suggested use cases of what you're trying to do with that particular list. So what I said here is that this would be leverage marketing automation campaigns to potentially invite your champions to speaking events, case studies, data programs, reference opportunities, or just a thank you. Also, what we have done here is we added triggers. So triggers are again, tags that you apply to the user, and then they can be synced to Salesforce, and you can use that to leverage for your marketing automation. So if you are going to message something to your champion, you can leverage the tag that is applied to the send user and send them a very particular marketing automation message. What I've also done, I specified to add a tag of champion on entry and remove the tag of champion on exit, and also apply a tag on exit saying that this user was a champion. And the reason for that is if I identify end users that were once champions, I would want to actually reach out to them or communicate to them in an automated fashion to ensure that I encourage them to come back to being a champion. And how do I do that? I can do that with a marketing automation tool. I can simply pick up the phone or email my champion that was a champion in the past and understand what happened. Why is their usage slipping? What's going on? What did we do wrong? How can we improve? So basically, in this list, I have 65 end users. They're my champions. I can leverage them in all the ways that I mentioned. I can also potentially export this list if I want to do an ad hoc something in another system, or if I want to just have reference to the information about these users, I can export this information as well. So going back to my other options within the specific criteria within active list, the second one is champions within poor health accounts. And as I mentioned before, identifying your champions that are really engaged within accounts that are unhealthy is a good way to potentially leverage them to see if they can help you improve the state of the account's health. And so what I have done, I just used the in-list capability by saying that these customers are already in the list of my champion list, and the health rank for the account is 4. So now I have 15 end users and approximately a handful of accounts in poor health that I can potentially ask for help or strategize with them to see how I can overall improve the state of my accounts that are in poor health. And then going to our next section here, and referenceable accounts. So this is going to be a list on the account level that I have defined. And the conditions that I specified for this are for accounts to be paying, license utilization has to be at least 70%, and the health rank is good. What I'm doing with them, once I identify them, I can add a tag automatically. So I'm going to tag them with referenceable on the account level. So you will actually see this tag within the account's profile, account scorecard. And then this is the list that we're leveraging for our report. So obviously we want to grow the number of referenceable accounts, and we want to see that increase over time. So that's one way to do this. And also, if you ever have an account that maybe perhaps doesn't meet the threshold conditions that you have specified, maybe their license utilization is a little bit lower, but they're referenceable because they're a happy customer and they have been willing to to provide a good reference for you when you were in sales situations or they were willing to participate in an event and be a speaker at some event that you were hosting, you can actually apply a tag manually as well. So don't worry that this is, you know, it would essentially be something manually that you would do, and the tag will get applied and be within the account profile for that particular customer. So that's another way to do that. So as far as the list, I think those were the main ones that I created. Obviously, there's more use cases, and if you have specific questions or would like some help from our team on how to best structure this, please reach out to your CSM and we would be happy to help you. Now, going to the reporting section, I already showed you a quick screenshot of it, but basically it would be a report that I structured to show us the trends of our referenceable customers. And this is the same list that we were just reviewing. We have 28 customers now, and we do want to see that grow. We do want to see our managers increase their count of referenceable accounts. And obviously, we want to make sure that our most high-paying customers are serving as references. So that's really key because they're the ones that would potentially attract less-minded customers, and you know they're going to renew with us for hopefully many years to come. The other key area of success plays is, as I mentioned, is part of our professional plus option. And the key place that we set up was for referenceable accounts. And let me click into that really quick. So basically, if you set this up, you can automate any sort of process. My particular idea was for referenceable accounts, but this can be something, you know, maybe for case studies. Maybe you have a specific feature that was released, and you want to identify users that are leveraging that feature a lot because you're going to do a press release or you're going to write a case study about that particular feature. So you can structure your criteria to identify those accounts based on the specific usage, whether they're, you know, performing a specific action or they're using a specific module, and from there, that will be your target audience. As you define it, you will always have a preview of which accounts fall into the scope of your definition, and that allows you to kind of review your work and review to make sure that you have defined the segment appropriately before you actually activate it. And that's something that is a really neat capability. Again, I encourage you to register for the webinar about this so that you can get a little deeper dive in a couple of weeks, and also reach out to your customer success manager if you have any questions. So with that, I'm going to pause for a second just to see if we have any questions that came in, and we can get those answered for you. Okay. Just one moment. Just trying to pull up the question. Okay, so one question. So this is a question from one of our customers, and the question is, how can we identify users that were power user but no longer a power user? So this is something that I may have already answered, but let me review it really quickly. So basically, if you had a specific definition for what your champion or your power user is in the list, when you have a specific condition that is no longer being met, you can add an exit trigger that would say something was power user or was champion. And this is what we're doing in this particular active list, is that whenever a user is no longer meeting our conditions that are defined to be active 10 days in the last 14 days, if let's say they're only active for 8 days, they're no longer going to meet the conditions that we have set up, and they're going to exit this list and receive a tag on exit. And so that's one way you can track that. And any user that is tagged with that exit trigger as was champion, you can leverage and particular, you can message them, or you can reach out to them, you can send them an email, or you can automate some sort of campaign to make sure that you identify why that customer has left your champion list. That was a great question. Let's see if we have any others. And again, as I mentioned, if you have any questions that come up after this webinar, again, we will actually send out a recording, and you can reach out to your customer success manager as well to ask any questions as follow-up. All right, I think that is all we have for today. I thank you for joining, and again, please register for our upcoming webinars and stay tuned for our new releases and capabilities and announcement about our next webinar series. And we appreciate your time, and have a great day.